Okay, this is a summary of my hunting trip. Got out there probably 5:45, 6-ish. Sat in the car for a few minutes. Waited till I could see the sun coming up a little bit because I didn't want to stand or anything. I was doing some scout hunting, and so I said, okay, sun starting to rise just enough I could see the ground underneath the car. So I got out, loaded the 30-30, and put my sidearm on, got my knife ready and everything, and camoed up, sprayed a little scent around, and everything, and got my grunt call, and started heading out a fence line. I had the river to my left and the woods to my right, and got 30-40 yards from the car, and started doing my grunt call, and I got probably about 60 yards from the car. I hadn't seen anything yet, and I'm standing over by a tree, and I happened to glance, and about probably 100 yards ahead of me there are 3 deer in a clearing. There's 1 buck, 2 does. And I'm like, oh man, I gotta get them, and I had my 30-30, but I didn't have a scope on it. So I'm like, all right, I've either got to call them in or I got to move closer. So I managed to get about another 20 yards up to another set of bushes, and I'm grunting at them, waiting and grunting at them, and they can see, they can hear me now, and they're curious. I've sprayed some dosing around, so they're starting to walk this way a little bit. Well, catch some movement out of the corner of my eye, and I glanced sideways, and a buck had managed to come 40 feet out of the woods, and was standing 30 feet from me, just staring at me. I mean, he couldn't see me. I mean, fully camoed out, being absolutely still, and I'm grunting, and he's just staring at me, and he's kind of got 1 foot up, and his tail's flickering a little bit, like he's nervous because he can't figure out where that grunt's coming from. So, I mean, he wasn't, he had a big body, but his rack wasn't huge. I mean, it was legal. He's a 5-point, but it wasn't anything impressive. And those deer are coming closer, and his rear end's facing him, and I knew if I spooked him anymore that he was going to throw that tail up and be gone, and they were going to see that, and they were going to be gone. So I had to make a choice. Either I wasn't going to get anything that day, or I was going to drop that buck, even though he wasn't what I wanted. And, like I said, I hunt for meat, not just for trophies. And I hadn't had any deer meat in a long time, so I said, okay, it's going to save us a little bit of grocery money, have some good old deer meat. So I I shifted knees, grunting at him the whole time, and of course he's just standing there, and clean shot, it went right through his shoulder, and shredded his heart, and came out the other side, right mid ribs, and I mean, he didn't even kick. He dropped, and he was dead. I mean, it was a clean shot. He didn't suffer at all, which I was happy with because I've seen him in the past a couple of times. You shoot him and they kick for a minute or so, but I mean, he went down like that, and he was dead. And so I got up and I did my normal routine. I went over and stood by him and said a prayer, thanking God for what He had given me, and for the animal giving his life, and went back to the car, loaded him up. Good to go. So we got some deer meat in the fridge, and I'm thankful for that. It's like I said, it saves us on some groceries. And I know that a lot of people out there ain't fans of hunting, but you know what? I'm gonna get my meat one way or the other. And frankly, it's much more humane for me to go out there hunting and killing myself than for what the animals you buy in a grocery store go through. So all you critics of hunting can just go ahead and find somebody else to bother about it, because I don't give a crap. So anyway, there's a summary of my hunting trip. That was successful anyway. I decided, I had a friend of mine who had never been hunting before in his life, and he's he's a city boy, and he moved out to Granbury from Austin. He's really interested in going, so he went and he bought some camo and stuff like that, and I said, I'll take you out with me. And I said, I can't let you shoot nothing because you don't have a license or anything like that, but I'll let you watch me, So I took him out with me, and I mean, we walked much further than I got this time, and at one point, right before sunrise, we heard some crashing in the bushes, and I'm pretty sure something saw us before we saw it, and let everybody in the area know there was danger, and it took off. And of course, then we ran into the cows and the bull, and I knew the bull was going to start pitching a fit as soon as we got close to him. So I said, well, that's it for today. We'll just have to call it a day. So anyway, there's a summary of the 2 hunting trips that I've been out on. Well, there have been 3, but I summarized the other one earlier. So anyway, there you go.